Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. If you're a coin collector, or you've been hanging on to some old pennies, today could be your lucky day. What if I told you that there's a 1965 penny out there worth, get this, $1.5 million? Yes, you heard that right. Stick around, because I'm going to reveal everything you need to know about the rare 1965 no-mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny, its value, and why it could be worth millions in today's market. First things first, let's talk about the 1965 penny itself. Most of us know that pennies from the 1960s are pretty common. But this particular 1965 penny is special and rare because it's missing something very important. Can you guess what that is? It's the mint mark. Normally, pennies made in the US carry a mint mark to indicate where they were struck: Philadelphia, Denver, or San Francisco. But in 1965, a small number of pennies were struck without any mint mark at all. Now, why does that matter? Well, the Philadelphia Mint normally doesn't use a mint mark, but for some reason, a few pennies from 1965 slipped through the cracks without any mint mark. This tiny detail makes all the difference in the world for collectors. This penny is considered an era coin, and era coins are extremely valuable. So, why are these pennies so valuable? We're talking about a flaw in production, something rare and hard to find. You might be thinking, I've seen some 1965 pennies in my change, but how do I know if mine is one of those era coins? Great question. It's not easy to spot. The 1965 no-mint mark penny looks very similar to the standard 1965 penny, except for that missing mint mark. But even though these are hard to find, they have huge value. Some coins have sold for up to $1.5 million in auctions. Now, if you want to see if you have one of these rare coins, here's how you can identify it. First, check the date. The coin must be from 1965. Look at the front, the obverse, where you'll see Abraham Lincoln's face. The important thing to check is the mint mark, or the lack of it. If you don't see a D for Denver or S for San Francisco, and it looks like a regular Philadelphia penny, it might be an era coin. Remember, this coin is not easy to find, but if you do have one, it could be worth a small fortune. Now, if you're thinking, okay, I found one of these rare pennies, but what's it really worth today? Well, the value has fluctuated, but a 1965 no-mint mark penny could easily be worth several $1,000s to millions. That's right, it's a hot commodity right now in the market. Prices have ranged from a few $1,000s for lower-grade coins to a record-breaking $1.5 million for a pristine, uncirculated example. It all depends on the condition of the coin, and whether it passes inspection by a professional grading service. How do I sell my rare coin? Great news! There are plenty of trusted platforms and coin dealers who specialize in buying era coins. You can auction them off through websites like eBay or take them to a local coin dealer who can help you with an appraisal and find the right buyer. Just make sure you get your coin professionally graded to ensure you're getting the true market value. Remember, this could be a life-changing amount of money for you, so don't miss out on your chance to cash in on this rare find. So, do you have a 1965 no-mint mark penny sitting in your collection or in your jar of loose change? If so, you might just have a small fortune on your hands. Keep your eyes peeled, and remember, rare coins like this could be worth millions of dollars today. If you enjoyed this video and want to learn more about rare coins and how to make money from your collection, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell for notifications so you never miss out on our future videos. If you have any questions or want to share your coin discoveries, leave a comment below. I'd love to hear your stories. 1967 Abraham Lincoln 1-cent penny with no mint mark. Yes, you heard that right. This seemingly common coin could actually be worth a lot more than you think. So, let's jump into it, and we'll break down everything you need to know about its market value, rarity, and whether or not it could help you reach $1 million. Now, at first glance, a 1967 penny might not stand out to the average person. But if you look closer, you might be holding on to something truly special. Alright, so what makes the 1967 Abraham Lincoln 1-cent penny unique? Well, the main feature we're focusing on today is the no mint mark. As you probably know, US coins typically have a mint mark to indicate where they were made, like a D for Denver or an S for San Francisco. But the 1967 penny, which came from the Philadelphia Mint, does not have any mint mark at all. This absence of a mint mark on this specific year has led to a bit of confusion and, ultimately, increased interest among collectors. Let's take a step back and understand the historical context. The 1960s were an interesting time for American coins. By 1967, the US had already undergone some big changes in its currency. The country was transitioning from silver to copper in the composition of its coins, which meant that the Lincoln cent was mostly copper by then, with no silver content remaining. Additionally, the political and economic climate was affecting the coinage system, so fewer pennies were being produced with noticeable variations. But the absence of a mint mark on the 1967 pennies was an anomaly. So, why is this no mint mark penny so rare? Well, it's not because millions of them were made and suddenly disappeared. In fact, it's the opposite. Most 1967 pennies were struck with a mint mark, but a small number of these coins, likely due to a production error or mistake at the Philadelphia Mint, were released with no mint mark. These rare versions are now highly sought after by collectors because of their unique feature. Even though it seems small, that absence of the mint mark gives this penny a certain scarcity factor. Now, let's talk about the important part. How much is this penny worth? Generally speaking, the value of a 1967 penny without a mint mark is not off the charts in terms of initial face value, which is just 1 cent. However, as with all rare and unique coins, their market value can increase depending on certain conditions, like the coin's condition, demand, and how many are left out there. On average, you might find that a 1967 no mint mark penny in decent condition could be worth somewhere between $10 to $50. But it's not just about condition. If you have a 1967 penny that is in mint condition, uncirculated, and free from wear, you might find it valued as high as $100 or more in some cases. These are typically graded using the 70-point scale, with coins graded 65 and above being the most valuable. But wait, could this penny ever reach $1 million value? Well, that's a little more complicated. While it's unlikely that a 1967 no mint mark penny would ever hit that level, the world of rare coins is filled with surprising stories. Coins with unique characteristics, especially historical ones, can sometimes skyrocket in value if a particular buyer is willing to pay for it. For example, there are cases where the right person comes along, and suddenly a coin is worth far more than anyone expected. And speaking of valuable pennies, let's take a quick look at other Lincoln cents that have reached astronomical values. You might have heard of the famous 1943 copper penny, which, due to a production error, was made with copper instead of steel. One of those sold at auction for over $1 million. The 1909 SVDB Lincoln penny, another rare piece, can fetch anywhere from $100,000 to over $1 million for an uncirculated specimen. So while the 1967 no mint mark penny may not reach those heights, it's important to remember that coins are a market, and in that market, values can fluctuate, especially as new buyers and collectors come into the scene. If you're interested in starting a coin collection or think you might have a valuable penny on your hands, there are a few tips to keep in mind. First, always handle your coins carefully. You want to avoid damage or wear, as that can significantly decrease their value. Second, get your coins professionally graded. This gives them an official grade and can help you understand their true worth in the market. And third, always do your research. There's a world of rare coins out there, and you never know what hidden treasures you might discover. So, to sum it all up, while the 1967 Abraham Lincoln no mint mark penny may not fetch $1 million price tag like some of its rare coin cousins, it's still a neat little piece of history and could definitely be worth more than you think. If you happen to have one of these rare pennies sitting around, it might be time to dig it out, get it graded, and see what it's really worth. 1970 60 mint mark Abraham Lincoln 1 cent penny. What makes this penny so special? And could it be worth a small fortune? Stay tuned, because you might have one of these in your collection without even knowing it. Let's start with the basics. The 1970 60 penny was minted in Denver as part of the regular production for the US 1 cent coin. Nothing too unusual about the year, right? After all, it was part of a large batch produced to keep up with the US economy at the time. But here's where it gets interesting. While this penny may seem like just another common coin, the value it holds today depends on some key factors. Let's break it down. In 1976, the US Mint produced over 4 billion pennies, so it's safe to say that this coin is not exactly rare in terms of mintage. The 1970 60 penny weighs 2.5 grams and is made of copper-plated zinc, which gives it the classic reddish-brown appearance we're familiar with. But despite the high mintage, certain factors could make this particular penny worth a lot more than face value. Now, the first thing to understand is coin grading. The grade of your penny plays a huge role in its market value. A typical 1970-60 penny in circulated condition may only be worth around 2 to 3 cents. That's not much of a return, right? But here's the exciting part. If your penny is in uncirculated or high-grade condition, it could be worth a lot more. If your 1970-60 penny is in mint state, meaning it has almost no signs of wear, with clear, sharp details, it could be worth anywhere from 10 to 50 cents or more. Now, hold on, because we're not done yet. The real game changers in the world of coins are the rarities. And yes, there are some rare 1970-60 pennies that could be worth significantly more. You see, certain errors in minting can cause a coin to become incredibly valuable. For example, a 1970-60 penny with a doubling of the lettering or the Liberty inscription can be worth hundreds of dollars, or even more. This is an example of what we call a double die error. A double die occurs when the die used to strike the coin has a misalignment, leading to a coin with a doubled design. If you happen to find a 1970-60 penny with this type of error, you could be looking at something worth $100, $200, or even more depending on the severity of the doubling and the condition of the coin. Some collectors and investors search for these error coins specifically, and they can fetch high prices at auction. Beyond the double die, there are other rare variations and minting errors that could make the 1970-60 penny valuable. Misstrikes, off-center strikes, and die cracks can all add value to an otherwise common coin. If you're ever in doubt, it's always worth consulting with a professional coin appraiser or getting your coin graded by services like PCGS or NGC. Now, you may have heard about coins that are worth millions of dollars. So, let's address the big question: can a 1970-60 penny really be worth $1 million? While it's unlikely that you'll find a 1970-60 penny worth that much, there are certain rare coins that have made headlines for selling at astronomical prices. For example, in 2016, a 1943 copper penny, which was mistakenly struck in copper instead of steel, sold for over $1 million at auction. Now, back to the 1970-60 penny. While it may not fetch $1 million price tag, certain minting errors or unique characteristics could still make your coin worth thousands. Imagine finding a rare minting error or an uncirculated specimen. That penny could turn into an unexpected windfall. So, how do you identify if your 1970-60 penny is a hidden gem? First, check for any noticeable minting errors like double strikes, off-center strikes, or cracks in the die. Then, inspect the coin's overall condition. If it's shiny, with clear details and no significant wear, it might be worth more than you think. You can also use a magnifying glass or a jeweler's loupe to get a closer look at the inscriptions and design details. Remember, the 1970-60 penny is part of a large mintage, but that doesn't mean you should overlook it. If you think you have something special, it's always a good idea to get it appraised. You never know, you might just have a rare find on your hands. If you do happen to find a rare or high-value 1970-60 penny, where can you sell it? There are a few options: coin shops, online marketplaces like eBay, or even at a coin auction. Some collectors specialize in rare pennies, so it's important to research the best place to sell depending on your coin's value. Some rare pennies can go for thousands of dollars at auction, especially if there's a bidding war. Just make sure to get your coin professionally graded first to determine its true value. The 1970-60 penny is not rare in terms of mintage, but it can still hold value, especially if it has a minting error or is in excellent condition. While it's unlikely to reach $1 million price tag, who knows? You could have a rare find worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars sitting in your change jar right now. 1976 No Mint Mark Abraham Lincoln 1-cent penny. What makes this coin so unique, and is it worth a fortune? Stick around, we'll break down all the details and answer the big question: is this penny worth $1 million? Let's dive in. The 1976 No Mint Mark Lincoln 1-cent penny is a rare piece that has captured the attention of collectors and investors alike. While the 1976 penny is a relatively common coin overall, it's the absence of the mint mark that gives this coin its special place in numismatic history. So, what exactly is a mint mark, and why does it matter so much? A mint mark is a small letter or symbol located on a coin that indicates where it was produced. For example, a D mint mark means the coin was minted in Denver, a S means it came from San Francisco, and an absence of a mint mark typically signifies that the coin was made in Philadelphia, where the U.S. Mint's main facility is located. Normally, coins from Philadelphia, like the Lincoln penny, have no mint mark, But that's not the case with every year. 1976 was a bicentennial year, and the United States minted special coins to mark the 200th anniversary of the nation's independence. During this period, the U.S. Mint produced coins with a variety of mint marks, but most coins were also issued with the usual mint marks for their respective locations. However, the 1976 Lincoln penny with no mint mark is an anomaly. There is a mystery behind this coin, and it has fascinated collectors for years. So, what's the big deal about a 1976 penny with no mint mark? Was it a mistake? Well, some believe that it was simply a production oversight. Others speculate it could have been a unique error coin that makes it even rarer. Regardless, this oversight created a demand among collectors who recognized that this penny was something out of the ordinary. Now, to clarify, not every 1976 penny is worth a fortune. Most of them, including those with the usual mint marks from Philadelphia, Denver, or San Francisco, are relatively common and only worth their face value, just 1 cent. However, the no mint mark version has become a highly sought-after coin in certain circles, with values varying based on condition and provenance. Now let's get to the real question: how much is a 1976 no mint mark penny actually worth today? Well, the answer depends on several factors, such as the coin's condition and whether it has been professionally graded. The value of coins is heavily influenced by rarity, condition, demand, and sometimes even historical significance. A 1976 no mint mark penny in uncirculated, mint condition can be worth much more than just 1 cent. In fact, depending on the grading, these pennies can fetch anywhere between $5 to $20 or more at auction. However, if you find one with a higher grade, such as a gem grade specimen, graded MS65 or higher by professional numismatists, it could be worth $50 or even more. But wait, you might be wondering, could this penny be worth $1 million? Well, the $1 million question is a little more complicated. While the 1976 no mint mark penny is rare, it's not quite at the level of legendary coins like the 1933 Double Eagle or a 1913 Liberty Head nickel. Those coins are extremely rare and have fetched millions at auctions. But could the 1976 penny ever reach that price point? Anything's possible in the world of rare coins, but as of now, the $1 million threshold seems unlikely for this specific penny. However, that doesn't mean you should dismiss the value of your 1976 no mint mark penny. Auctions and private sales have shown that some collectors are willing to pay premium prices for these rare coins, especially if they are in perfect condition or have an interesting backstory attached to them. Some rare coins can increase in value over time, as the market fluctuates, and as more people become aware of their worth. Plus, in the world of coin collecting, sometimes an unexpected discovery of a rare coin or error can make all the difference. That's why it's important to keep an eye on your collection, especially if you suspect you might have a special piece, like the 1976 no mint mark penny. Before we wrap up, let's talk about the factors that will determine whether your 1976 no mint mark penny is worth a lot of money. First, condition is key. Coins that are in better shape, without scratches, wear, or discoloration, are more valuable. Second, get your coin professionally graded. A certified coin grader can assess the condition and provide a grade, which will significantly affect its market value. Most collectors use services like the Numismatic Guarantee Corporation, NGC, or Professional Coin Grading Service, PCGS, to grade their coins. If you're serious about selling or trading, a professional grade can help ensure that you get the best possible price. Remember, if you think you have one of these coins, it's worth doing some research and potentially having it appraised by a numismatist or coin expert. Whether you're looking to add it to your collection or sell it for a tidy profit, the 1976 no mint mark penny is a fascinating piece of American history. 1978 Abraham Lincoln 1 cent penny. And no, this isn't just another run-of-the-mill penny. This one doesn't have a mint mark. So what makes this penny special, and could it be worth a small fortune? Stick around, because I'll also be discussing the concept of rare pennies that have been known to reach up to $1 million price tag. So let's get into it. First things first, let's talk about what we mean when we say 1978 no mint mark Abraham Lincoln 1 cent penny. Typically, pennies minted in the US since 1938 have a mint mark to indicate where they were produced. You'll either see a D for Denver, an S for San Francisco, or an P for Philadelphia. But in 1978, some pennies were produced without a mint mark. Host gestures to the penny. Now, before you get too excited, not every 1978 penny is missing a mint mark. In fact, it's a rare occurrence, but it's what can potentially add value to the coin. So, why does this particular penny stand out? The thing about the 1978 no-mint mark penny is that, by the time it was produced, the mint mark on pennies was pretty standard, especially after the Mint Act of 1837. But in 1978, a few pennies slipped through the cracks, with no mint mark appearing on them at all. The lack of a mint mark can make the coin seem like a production mistake or an error, which in the coin collecting world is something collectors are really interested in. However, this doesn't automatically mean that the coin is worth a fortune. The value depends on the condition of the coin. Let's talk about the current market value. If you have one of these 1978 pennies with no mint mark, it's important to know that the condition of the coin plays a huge role in its value. Most 1978 no mint mark pennies in circulation are worth only 1 cent, or slightly more, maybe a few dollars if it's in uncirculated, near perfect condition. So, what are we really talking about when it comes to numbers? Typically, you'll see these coins in the range of $10 to $50 if they're in mint condition. That means no wear, scratches, or corrosion. In certain rare instances, if you've got an absolutely pristine, uncirculated penny, you might find it fetching $100 or more at auction. That's a far cry from $1 million, right? But don't despair, there are certain things that make rare coins like this one especially valuable, and we're going to explore that. Now you might be wondering, could a penny really be worth $1 million? Well, let's break this down. While the 1978 no mint mark penny might not be worth $1 million, there are other pennies out there that have reached those kinds of numbers. Cut to a close-up of the famous 1943 copper penny. One example is the 1943 copper penny. These are considered one of the most valuable and famous U.S. pennies. Only a few are known to exist, and they have been sold for over $1 million at auction. The 1943 copper penny was mistakenly produced when the U.S. Mint needed to switch to steel for the pennies during World War II. However, a few copper blanks accidentally made it into the mix, making those rare pennies incredibly valuable. The 1978 no mint mark penny doesn't have the same history behind it, and it isn't nearly as rare as the 1943 copper penny. But as with any coin, what you have is only worth what someone else is willing to pay for it. So, let's talk about how you can potentially increase the value of your 1978 no mint mark penny. There are a few things you should keep an eye out for. The better the condition, the more likely you are to get a higher price. Coins that are in pristine, uncirculated condition can fetch a premium, so if you find one of these without scratches, scuff marks, or discoloration, you might have a valuable one on your hands. Error coins, sometimes, the penny might not just be missing a mint mark, but have other imperfections like double strikes, off-center strikes, or die cracks. Error coins are particularly sought after by collectors because they were not intended to exist. So, a 1978 no mint mark penny with a unique error could be worth more. The value of coins fluctuates based on collector interest. So, while your penny may not be worth much now, a spike in demand for error coins or a resurgence of interest in late 20th century coins could increase its value. Alright, so you think you've got a potential valuable penny on your hands. What now? If you're looking to sell, there are a few ways to go about it. Local or online dealers can offer to appraise and purchase your coin. However, always be sure to get a few opinions before selling, as dealers sometimes offer less than what a coin might be worth in a public auction. Online marketplaces, eBay, Etsy, and other coin-selling platforms can be great places to sell coins. Just make sure to research similar coins to ensure you price yours fairly. Coin auctions. For rare, high-value coins, auctions can be a good option, especially if your penny has a unique characteristic that would attract a collector. So, while the 1978 no mint mark Abraham Lincoln 1 cent penny might not be your ticket to $1 million fortune, it's still a cool coin with some potential value, especially if it's in great condition or has a rare error. And who knows, maybe one day, the value of these pennies will climb as collectors start to notice them more. If you're lucky enough to own one, it could be worth holding on to, just in case. 1979 no mint mark Abraham Lincoln 1 cent coin. It might look like your regular penny, but trust me, there's more to it than meets the eye. Could this coin be worth a small fortune? Stay tuned, as we dive into its value and how coins like these could potentially reach millions of dollars. Let's get started. At first glance, the 1979 Abraham Lincoln 1 cent penny doesn't seem like anything out of the ordinary. After all, the U.S. Mint has been producing these pennies for over a century. But the 1979 penny is significant due to something that's not immediately obvious. The year 1979 marked an interesting transition for US coins, particularly in the way they were minted. In 1979, pennies were minted at 3 different locations: the Philadelphia Mint, the Denver Mint, and the San Francisco Mint. Now, you're probably thinking, what's the big deal about that? Well, the key here is that the mint mark, which usually identifies where the coin was made, was often left off pennies minted in Philadelphia. But this particular penny, the 1979 no mint mark penny, has become a coin of interest for collectors because of its unique characteristics. Some of these pennies were produced without any mint mark at all, which was unusual at the time. Now, you might be wondering, what makes this penny so valuable? Well, the rarity of a coin is one of the primary factors that influences its market value. And while the 1979 no mint mark penny might seem like a simple piece of currency, its scarcity among collectors makes it particularly attractive. Pennies without mint marks from this year are not something you'll come across every day. Historically, when people look for rare coins, they're looking for those that were struck with imperfections, errors, or unique characteristics. A coin without a mint mark, especially from 1979, can be considered an error coin because it strays from the standard procedure. This makes it more desirable to collectors, who will often pay a premium for it. But how much can this penny really be worth? The value of a 1979 no mint mark penny can vary depending on its condition, rarity, and whether it has been graded by professional numismatic organizations. For a typical 1979 no mint mark penny in average circulation condition, the value is usually around 10 to 30 cents. But that's just the base value. If your coin is in mint or uncirculated condition, its worth could increase dramatically. Here's the kicker: if your 1979 no mint mark penny is graded as MS65 or higher, you could be looking at a value closer to $50 to $150. But it doesn't stop there. In rare cases, well-preserved specimens or those with exceptional characteristics could fetch even higher prices. We've seen some listings where 1979 no mint mark pennies have sold for several $100s, and even up to $1,000, depending on their specific qualities and the demand at the time. Now, you might be asking yourself, if a penny from 1979 can be worth that much, what about coins that are even rarer? And that's a great question. Rare coins, particularly those with minting errors, can sometimes skyrocket in value. Coins like the famous 1933 Double Eagle gold coin or the 1913 Liberty Head nickel are worth millions due to their extreme rarity and the story behind them. The market for rare coins is driven by a combination of factors: scarcity, historical significance, condition, and even the story behind the coin. The more rare and unique the coin is, the higher the chance it could be sold for an astronomical amount. So, while a 1979 no mint mark penny might not be worth $1 million just yet, who knows what the future holds? With a little luck, the right condition, and the right collector, you might just find yourself sitting on a gold mine. So, how do you know if you've got a valuable 1979 no mint mark penny? First, check for the absence of a mint mark on the reverse side, right under the word 1 cent. If there's no D for Denver or S for San Francisco, that's your key indicator. But it doesn't stop there. To really determine its value, you need to look at its condition. Coins are graded on a scale from poor to mint state, or MS70. The higher the grade, the more valuable the coin. Coins in the best possible condition, those with sharp details, no visible wear, and no scratches, will always fetch the highest prices. Now, the ultimate question: could your 1979 no mint mark penny really become worth $1 million? While it's unlikely, it's not impossible. The key to high-value coins like these is the collector market, and occasionally, a coin may be sold at auction for an unimaginable price if it has unique characteristics, a fascinating history, or if the market for rare coins explodes. With the right conditions, and of course, a bit of luck, your penny could go from being a common piece of change to a sought-after treasure. So, there you have it. The 1979 no mint mark Abraham Lincoln 1 cent penny might not seem like much at first glance, but with the right factors in play, it could be worth far more than you'd expect. Whether you're a seasoned coin collector or just getting started, make sure to check your coins carefully. You never know, your next find could make you a small fortune. 1988 no mint mark Abraham Lincoln 1 cent penny coin. You might be wondering, what's so special about this penny? Well, trust me, there's a lot more to it than meets the eye. This coin has sparked a lot of interest in the coin collecting world, and it's generating some serious buzz when it comes to its market value. So, in this video, I'll explain exactly why this penny is so rare, how you can spot it, and most importantly, I'll break down its market value today. Plus, we'll talk about how this little copper piece could potentially be worth a lot more than just 1 cent. So, if you want to know how much a 1988 no-mint mark penny could be worth today, keep watching. First, let's get into what makes this penny so unique. The 1988 no-mint mark penny was struck at the United States Mint, just like every other penny. But here's the catch. While most coins have a mint mark indicating where they were produced, some of the 1988 pennies are missing this mint mark. So, you're probably thinking, what's the big deal? Doesn't every penny have a mint mark? Well, not exactly. The mint mark is a tiny letter that tells you where the coin was made. For example, if there's a D, it means the coin was minted in Denver. An S means San Francisco. And if there's no mint mark, like in the case of the 1988 penny, it typically means it was produced in the Philadelphia Mint. But here's where it gets interesting. During the 1980s, the Philadelphia Mint started making some pennies without mint marks, and in 1988, a batch of them didn't carry the P mint mark that usually signifies they were made there. While this might sound like a small detail, it actually makes these coins very rare, and that is what gets collectors excited. If you have a 1988 penny, you'll want to check a couple of things to make sure it's one of these rarities. First, flip it over to the obverse, or the front side, of the coin. Here, you'll see the familiar image of Abraham Lincoln. You'll also notice the year. 1988 is clearly visible, no surprises there. But here's the key detail to check. On the reverse of the coin, near the bottom right, you should usually find a small P, D, or S mint mark. But if you've got a 1988 penny with no mint mark there, well, congratulations, you've just found a rare coin. It's worth noting, though, that the lack of a mint mark isn't always a guarantee that the penny is valuable, but it can definitely increase its worth, depending on its condition and scarcity. And as we dive deeper into the market value, we'll see just how rare this penny really is. Now, let's get to the juicy part, the market value. You might be wondering, what's the real worth of this penny? Well, the value can vary depending on several factors, like its condition, its rarity, and demand from collectors. So, in general, a 1988 no-mint mark penny in average circulation condition, the kind you'd find in your change, isn't going to be worth much more than its face value. We're talking about anywhere from 1 to 5 cents, maybe a little more in some cases. However, if your coin is in excellent condition, say, MS65 grade or higher, you could be looking at a price anywhere from $20 to $100. Yes, you heard that right. That's quite a leap from the original 1 cent value. Now, if you happen to find a minted 1988 penny in uncirculated condition with no mint mark, well, you're looking at a potential value of $500 or even more. In the right market, some of these coins have been known to sell for as much as $1,000 or more, especially if they're part of a rare, high-demand auction. As you can see, the potential value depends heavily on the coin's condition and rarity in the market. If you've got one of these pennies in pristine condition, it might be worth looking into getting it graded by a professional coin grading service, like PCGS or NGC. Having it certified can increase its value even more when you decide to sell or auction it. But let's take a minute to talk about why this coin holds value. The fact is, the 1988 no-mint mark penny is valuable because it's rare and unusual. The lack of a mint mark on a coin is considered an error or a mistake, and in the world of coin collecting, errors can often translate to big bucks. Plus, the sheer fact that it's tied to Abraham Lincoln, one of the most iconic figures in U.S. history, adds to its appeal. The design featuring the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse of the penny has become a classic symbol, and there's a strong market demand for anything that connects to this part of American heritage. So, we've talked about the current market value of this penny. But could a 1988 no-mint mark penny ever be worth $1 million? Well, here's the thing. While it's unlikely for the average coin to hit that $1 million mark, it's not impossible. Coin values are determined by rarity, demand, and condition, and some of the most famous coins in history have gone for extraordinary amounts at auctions. If a coin like the 1988 no-mint mark penny is the only one of its kind in pristine condition and the right buyer comes along, who knows? The sky could be the limit. But for now, most of these pennies will top out in the hundreds or low thousands. So, there you have it, folks. The 1988 no-mint mark Abraham Lincoln 1 cent penny is a rare and valuable coin that could be worth a lot more than just 1 cent, depending on its condition and rarity. If you're lucky enough to find one of these in your collection, it could be a great addition for any coin investor or enthusiast. Remember, coins like these don't just sit around, they're sought after by collectors who appreciate history, rarity, and the thrill of finding something special. So, make sure to keep an eye on your pocket change and look through those old coin jars. Who knows what treasure might be hiding inside? 1992 D-Mint Mark Abraham Lincoln 1-cent penny coin and its market value in today's world. Now I know what you're thinking, a penny really? What's so special about a penny from 1992? Well, it turns out that certain pennies, especially ones from the D-Mint mark in 1992, have some cool history and potential value behind them that you might not expect. The 1992 D penny was minted in Denver and is part of the Abraham Lincoln cent series, which has been circulating in the United States since 1909. What sets the 1992 D penny apart, you might ask? Well, there are a few key features to keep in mind. The obverse of this coin features the iconic image of Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner. It's the same design we all know and love on modern pennies. The reverse shows the Lincoln Memorial, which was the reverse design until 2008 when it was replaced by a series of new designs celebrating Lincoln's life. However, in 1992, something a little unusual happened. The U.S. Mint struck a significant number of these pennies, but not all of them were produced under normal circumstances. There were some subtle errors and variations on the 1992 D penny that have caught the eye of collectors over the years. First off, it's important to clarify that the 1992 D penny, in general, is not rare. These pennies were produced in massive quantities, meaning they were, and still are, easy to find in circulation. However, there are some instances of errors that make certain 1992 D pennies valuable. One of the most well-known variations is the double die obverse error. This happens when the die used to strike the penny is misaligned, causing a doubling effect in some of the text and details on the coin. If you're lucky enough to come across one of these double die pennies, then you're holding on to a coin that could be worth a lot more than just 1 cent. Now, if your 1992 D penny doesn't have any of these rare errors, don't worry. It's still worth face value, just 1 cent. In fact, unless you find one of those rare misprints, you'll be hard-pressed to find a standard 1992 D penny that fetches much more than that. Right now, a typical 1992 D penny is valued at, well, 1 cent. But that doesn't mean you should completely disregard it. Collectors still scoop up large quantities of these pennies for their collections. They might not be worth much on their own, but they still hold some historical and numismatic significance. If you happen to find a 1992 D double die obverse penny, now we're talking serious money. Coins with this error can be worth hundreds, or even thousands of dollars, depending on their condition and the severity of the doubling. In some cases, a well-preserved 1992 D double die penny has sold for as much as $10,000 or more at auctions. That's a huge jump from the 1 cent face value. As you can see in the chart, a regular 1992 D penny is worth a few cents on average, but if it's a double die error, it can take your penny's worth into the thousands, a potential for big-time profits if you have one in hand. But there's more to a coin's value than just its error or rarity. Like any collectible, the condition of the coin plays a major role. Coins that are in mint condition, meaning they have no scratches, discoloration, or wear, are much more valuable than those that are worn down from years of circulation. So, always take a close look at the state of your penny. Also, if your coin is in a graded slab, meaning it's been professionally assessed and sealed in a protective casing by a grading company, the value can be even higher. Coins that receive higher grades, such as MS, Mint State, 65 or higher, tend to fetch more money in the market. Now, here's the million-dollar question: could a 1992 D penny ever be worth $1 million? While it's highly unlikely, stranger things have happened in the world of coin collecting. For example, a 1943 copper penny recently sold for over $1 million, and it's not impossible that a super rare and pristine 1992 D double die penny might one day reach that level, but it's a long shot. That being said, if you come across any 1992 D pennies with significant errors or pristine condition, they could still bring in substantial profits, so keep your eyes peeled. You never know when you might find a little treasure hiding in your pocket change. So, there you have it. The 1992 D Mint Mark Abraham Lincoln 1 cent penny is a fascinating coin to explore, and while most of them are worth only 1 cent, there are those rare double die error coins that can potentially bring in thousands of dollars. If you enjoyed learning about the 1992 D penny and its potential value, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for more videos on coin collecting and the world of numismatics. 2002 D-Mint Mark Abraham Lincoln 1-cent penny coin. Stick around as we explore the fascinating history, current market value, and a whole lot more about this coin that might just be sitting in your pocket right now. So let's start by taking a closer look at the coin itself. The 2002 D. Abraham Lincoln 1-cent penny is part of the modern series of pennies issued by the United States Mint. The D Mint mark refers to the Denver Mint, where this penny was produced. Abraham Lincoln, the 16th President of the United States, has been featured on the obverse side of the penny since 1909, in honor of his 100th birthday. The design of the penny hasn't changed much, but what makes certain pennies special, like the 2002 D, is their rarity, condition, and other subtle characteristics. Now, let's talk about how much a 2002 D penny is worth today. If you happen to find one in your coin jar, don't get too excited just yet. The 2002 D penny, in its standard circulated condition, typically holds a value of just 1 cent, that's right, face value. But here's where it gets interesting. If your penny is in mint condition, especially if it's graded as MS65 or higher by the Professional Coin Grading Service, PCGS, it can be worth a bit more. We're talking around 30 cents to $1.50. Not a huge amount, but it's a small premium for a well-preserved coin. But the real value of the 2002 D penny comes from unique varieties, such as those with errors or misprints. These could be worth significantly more. For example, a 2002 D penny with a doubled die obverse, a coin where the design is slightly misaligned and shows a doubling effect on the letters, could fetch anywhere from $5 to $30, depending on the severity of the error. So, if you're lucky enough to have one of those rare varieties, it could certainly add some extra value to your collection. Alright, we've established that the 2002 D penny is not exactly going to make you a millionaire. But what about those legendary $1,000,000 coins that make collectors' jaws drop? How does a penny go from 1 cent to $1 million? Well, it's all about rarity, condition, and historical significance. Take, for example, the 1943 copper penny. This coin is incredibly rare because during World War II, the U.S. Mint switched to producing steel pennies, but a few copper pennies were accidentally struck. Today, a 1943 copper penny can be worth over $1 million, depending on its grade and condition. Or how about the 1792 birch cent? This coin is one of the very first pennies ever made, and it's worth a staggering $2 million in top condition. Coins like these are worth so much because they're pieces of American history. So if you're holding on to a 2002 D penny and hoping to retire, unfortunately, that's not going to happen. But don't despair. Even though this coin isn't worth a fortune, it's still part of the incredible world of numismatics. The value of a coin, like the 2002 D penny, is determined by several factors. Let's break it down. The better the condition, the higher the value. Coins in mint state are worth more than worn or damaged ones. Coins that were produced in smaller numbers or have unique errors are more valuable. Collectors are willing to pay more for coins that are in demand at the time. This can fluctuate based on market trends. Historical significance. Coins with historical importance can fetch high prices, especially if they are part of a famous event or collection. If you're interested in buying or selling coins like the 2002 D penny, there are several places where you can do so. Online auction sites like eBay are great for finding rare coins, but you should always be cautious of listings that seem too good to be true. Professional coin dealers and coin shows are also great places to find trusted experts who can help you with evaluations. If you think you've got a rare 2002 D penny or any other coin, it's always a good idea to get it professionally graded by services like PCGS or NGC to ensure you know its true market value. So there you have it. The 2002 D Abraham Lincoln penny might not make you a millionaire, but it's still a cool coin to add to your collection. Whether you're a seasoned numismatist or just getting started, understanding the value of your coins is an exciting part of the hobby. Make sure to like this video, subscribe for more coin collecting tips, and drop a comment below if you have a 2002 D penny or any other cool coins you'd like to talk about. 2020 D Mint Mark Abraham Lincoln 1-cent penny. We'll explore its current market value, what makes it special, and how it's being valued in 2025. But wait, there's more. We'll also talk about the broader coin market, and why this particular penny is on the radar for collectors right now. Plus, we'll discuss how dollar values are changing in the $1 million coin market. So, let's get right into it. Make sure to hit that like button and subscribe if you're passionate about coins and numismatics. Let's go. Alright, so let's start by talking about the coin in question. the 2020 D Mint Mark Abraham Lincoln 1-cent penny. First things first, what does the D Mint Mark mean? The D stands for the Denver Mint, which is one of the main U.S. mint facilities. The 2020 D penny was produced in Denver, Colorado, and it's part of the regular issue for that year. So, there's no crazy limited release or special edition, at least, at first glance. But don't be fooled. There's still plenty to talk about when it comes to this coin. On the obverse, that's the front side, or head side, you've got the iconic image of President Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner. The reverse, showing the Lincoln Memorial, was designed by Frank Gasparo and was used on the penny from 1959 until 2008, when the shield design replaced it. But here's where things get interesting. When we look at the 2020 D penny, it's not just another regular old penny. There are a few key things collectors are paying attention to. Now, let's dive into the hot topic, the coin's current market value. As of 2025, most 2020 D pennies are worth their face value of just 1 cent. But, like with all coins, there are exceptions. The value of a coin can vary based on several factors, including its condition, any minting errors, and its rarity. First up, let's talk about condition. The most common 2020 D pennies you'll find in circulation are in pretty average condition. These will generally be worth about 1 cent to a few cents more, maybe 2 or 3 cents if they're in exceptional condition. But if you've got a coin that's in mint state, meaning it's been well preserved with no significant damage, scratches, or wear, it could fetch a bit more. A graded MS65, mint state 65, 2020 D penny could go for anywhere between $1 and $3, depending on demand and market fluctuations. Here's the kicker though, mint errors. If you happen to find a 2020 D penny with a rare minting error, the value could jump exponentially. Some of the most sought after errors are things like, this is a popular error where the coin has been struck more than once, causing parts of the image to appear doubled. Coins with this error can sometimes be worth hundreds of dollars, depending on the severity of the mistake. If your penny was struck off-center, it can make for a very unique piece. Off-center errors can also push the value up significantly. Now, you may not find an error coin on every corner, but if you happen to stumble upon one, it could become a very valuable addition to your collection. If you look at recent sales of 2020 D pennies, you'll see some higher prices for error coins. For instance, a double die or misaligned die penny from 2020 can go for anywhere from $100 to over $500, especially if it has been graded by a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC. These are not common, so when they pop up, they tend to make waves in the coin community. So why is the 2020 D penny even on the radar of collectors right now? Well, in recent years, there has been a surge in interest for modern US coins. Collectors are always looking for unique or limited edition pieces from the past decade, and coins like the 2020 D penny are a part of this trend. Plus, the pandemic era brought about a lot of changes to the coin market, with certain coins becoming rarer in circulation due to economic shifts, production delays, and other factors. Also, the low mintage numbers of certain years have created an increase in demand for certain coins. While the 2020 D penny wasn't minted in particularly low quantities, it's still a coin that can easily get overlooked, which means you could find a hidden gem if you dig through some rolls of pennies or check your spare change. Now, let's zoom out for a second and talk about the broader coin market. While we're talking about the 2020 D penny today, it's important to understand where it fits in the context of high-value coins. The $1 million coin market is a whole different world. While the 2020 D penny won't break into those ranks anytime soon, there are other coins that have made headlines for selling for millions of dollars at auctions. The 1943 copper penny, which sold for over $1 million due to its rarity. The 1794 flowing hair dollar, considered the first ever US silver dollar, which sold for $10 million. What's interesting about these higher priced coins is that they often come with a fascinating history or a rare minting error. So, while the 2020 D penny won't make you a millionaire, it's an excellent reminder that coin collecting can sometimes lead to big paydays, and the right coin at the right time can skyrocket in value. In conclusion, the 2020 D Abraham Lincoln 1-cent penny is not just another penny. While most are worth their face value, it's worth keeping an eye out for those special, rare versions that can have significant value in the marketplace, especially if you're a fan of error coins. If you're lucky enough to find one of these rare pennies in great condition, or with an error, you could turn a small investment into something more valuable. And who knows? Maybe one day, a 2020 D penny will become the next big coin in the collecting world.